Cat and I play Red. We're here at Spiel. We're at the Forbidden Games stand with Glenn Drover, and we're looking at a prototype of Dungeon Party. So, tell us a little about that.
I'm Glenn, and I play Red as well. I do.
There's always one.
So Dungeon Party is in line with our concept for all of our games, which is to take great hardcore game ideas and mechanics and bring them to a broad audience. So the idea for Dungeon Party is an RPG that you can basically play in the bar, you can play it out at dinner, you can play it in the kitchen, but it's really easy. There's no dice or tables or charts or books. You can just play.
So no sort of massive charts with dice rolls.
Right. Right.
I always approve of games you can play in a bar.
Right. And you can actually turn it into a drinking game very easily if that's what you want to do.
You can turn it into a drinking game if you try hard enough.
This one really works. It's really meant that way. So it's very simple. You're going to build a dungeon with three key components. One is, of course, the rooms. And the rooms are populated by the monsters. And the monsters, of course, always have treasure.
Are these... oh, they're nice.
Yes. So, we got artists from a company that I used to work for called PopCap Games that did Bejeweled and did Plants vs. Zombies. So the artwork for the game is very colorful, very bright.
I love the Banshee.
Yes.
She's awesome.
And so all the little monsters are very kind of monstery and cute, but not, oh, that's a room.
They're not too scary.
Right, they're not too scary, but they're all the classic kinds of monsters from role-playing games that we all grew up playing.
I love the skeleton.
Check out the Medusa.
Oh my gosh, she's awesome. The only way she'd be cooler was if she had red snakes.
Vampire Queen, of course.
Yep.
Mantis. So the monsters are in the rooms. So you deal out the rooms first, and the rooms have little directions. Sometimes they have a special event or a curse. One might be like this one, the Psychic Blast, is that you have to cover your head and scream, "Oh my brain," while you're trying to attack the monster. So they all have fun, social, loud, obnoxious things that are happening. One is bats, where you actually all the players have to flap in your face while you're trying to attack the monster.
They've actually got like a slight shine on them as well, haven't they?
Yeah, well, this is only a prototype, so the material will be a bit different. It will definitely be flat, so you can see it in a dark atmosphere. And we're going to make sure that the graphics are popping more, because this is a bit dark in the prototype, just because of the printing technique. So yes, you do the room, and you fight the monster, and fighting the monster is very simple. You're going to put the monster in the middle of the table, and the players will take turns bouncing a coin, and it has to land on the coaster and stay. If it stays, you hit, and you do damage based on your special thing. Every character has certain monsters that they're good at fighting. So skeletons are type undead. So if I'm a paladin, I'm going to have extra damage on. So it's all the classic things from role-playing, but it's simple. So I usually do 2 damage. If I'm fighting undead, I do 4, just plus 2, double. And this is hit points on the side. So the skeletons start with 7, and then you'll just mark off the hits. If you miss, then they automatically hit you. And then this one doesn't do any special damage, but a lot of the monsters, especially as you go deeper into the dungeon, will do more damage, special damage.
The Phoenix, this is the damage they do?
No, that's the hit points. The damage is
gosh,
here.
11, wow.
So 11 hit points,
okay,
and they do 4 damage every time they hit.
Yep.
And they're reborn. So if you kill them, you're not done.
You've got to kill them.
You've got to kill them a second time.
So again, pretty typical of what you would expect.
Exactly. But again, it's very simple in how you execute it. So your granny, who doesn't ever and never would play Dungeons and Dragons, could sit there and do it, and you're like, "Oh, granny, now he's alive again," and she now understands what phoenixes do. And werewolves, they regenerate, or trolls or whatever. So they all have their little special abilities. And once you kill the monster, then you get the goodies, right? So then you get the treasure. You're getting like simple coins or gems, or masks, or magic. You'll get special weapons.
Which then gives you extra damage.
This one will give +2 damage and +4 versus, what does that say? A large monster.
Large monsters.
But only mages and druids can handle it. So if I'm a fighter and I killed the monster and I get this treasure, I have to now decide, do I want to keep it for the 3 points at the end of the game? Or give it to you, because now you're stronger to help defeat the dungeon. Because it's a co-op game, but at the end of the game, the one with the best value in treasures wins. So you don't necessarily want to help too much, and you might even miss on purpose, bounce your coin really hard and miss, because you're down to 1 hit point, and the monster's going to attack her next.
So when you die, what happens? Are you out?
You're not out, but if the whole party dies, we're all out. And there are some potions that during a battle you can take, and you'll get your hit points back, of course, like standard. But so the tactics is the monsters get harder and harder and harder. So very early, it's very unlikely that the players will die as a party.
Vampire Queen is a level boss.
She's a boss. So her thing is that she, when you miss, you take extra damage. Oh no, when you miss, she gets hit points back. So she's every time she hits you, she's leeching, right? But she starts with 20 hit points, or no, 20 hit points. She does 5, and she's very hard to kill because she'll keep replenishing every time someone misses.
So how many hit points do you have?
So we'll look at the characters. The characters start with 5 hit points.
Wow, okay.
But as they get more things, they can get more hit points, right? So
again, elf archer, you've got a human cleric there.
Right.
So they're all the typical characters that you would expect to see in any sort of role-playing. Oh my goodness, he's fantastic.
The dwarf, ranger.
But then obviously you can get your hit points up with treasure.
With treasure.
But then if you use it to do that, you're not going to get the points.
No, you do.
Oh, you still get the points.
You still get the points. It's only when you give it to another player, right?
Okay.
Because you're trying to help the party become more powerful.
Is all the treasure good?
There are cursed items.
Right, yeah, this is what I was waiting for. We all like that curse.
There's always cursed items. And the cursed items will make you do silly things very often. Or it could be trapped. Okay. And if it's trapped and you fail to remove the trap, the treasure's destroyed.
Okay.
Right? So you could lose the treasure even if you won the battle. So it's all typical RPG, but in a way that anybody can play it. And
there is a lot of the obvious tropes that you see, but done in a very silly way.
In a silly, fun, easy way to get it. And so it's basically an RPG that you can play in a bar with your mates who maybe will never play an RPG.
Are you doing, these are slightly plasticized, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the way to go?
We don't know yet. This is early prototype stuff, but we think what we'll do is it'll be coaster material. So definitely a coaster that you're going to have in the bar, put your drink on your character, and
that's what I was worried about.
Right? So we definitely will have a protective coating on it. Right? So it's not destroyed after playing once or twice.
If it's in the bar, it's too easy to have something there.
Oh yeah, or it's wet underneath.
You don't realise what you've done.
Right. But if it's destroyed and you have to buy another set, that's not really bad for me.
So you've got the different level monsters. I assume they're stacked in order. So you don't end up with the boss first, obviously.
Exactly. So at the beginning, before you start to play, you'll actually build the dungeon. So on the backs of the cards, when the game is finished, you'll have rooms, level 1, level 2, level 3, monsters, level 1, level 2, level 3, and you'll have a dungeon card that will say Dungeon of Doom, 3 level 1, 2 level 2, and it'll tell you how to build the dungeon. So you'll basically take a dungeon room and a monster and a treasure and do that down to the bottom.
And then your boss is going to be your end boss that you're fighting.
Exactly, he's the big...
Or she.
She sometimes, of course.
And then at the end of the game, you'll count up
the treasure points, right?
And you have a winner, even though it's cooperative.
It's cooperative, competitive.
Have a winner, yes.
Right. And so as you're going toward the end, you've got to keep your eye on the other players and go, well, he's really strong now because he's got lots of magic and treasure.
So this is open information.
It is, right. So, you see your are stacked, and I'm like, well, I might miss on purpose to let you get hit more often. You know, I'm pretending like I'm missing because I want you to take more damage and maybe get killed in the last encounter.
I don't approve of true cooperative games, so I like that.
Right. Me either. Everything's got to be a winner.
So, when have you got any idea of dates on this?
Yes, we're hoping for an ideal early December Kickstarter.
Okay.
As we're finishing right now all the fine-tuning of gameplay and testing, like almost all the art is done now.
Yeah.
We've been in design for about 2 years, but we're the final playtesting, balancing everything now.
So
Kickstarter December, launch of the game probably would be next July, August, or Gen Con probably would be perfect.
So keep your eye out for Forbidden Games on Kickstarter in December, hopefully,
maybe January.
And this is Dungeon Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you, great seeing you.